It's been 20 years since the death of legendary musician Brenda Fassie. The 20th anniversary of her passing include key dates such as the 41st anniversary of the Weekend Special and her 60th birthday. Fassie was recently honored at the 2024 Legends and Legacy Ball Africa Awards. Joining us now is Bongani Fassie, who is an artist, a producer, and also Brenda's son. Bongani, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, Ms. Katleho. It's a pleasure.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. 20 years since Brenda Fassie's passing, a legendary icon, a world star, but also your mother. Just talk to us how these 20 years have been for you, trying to carry the pain of losing a parent and also upholding her legacy.
Well, first of all, I must say to you, it doesn't feel like it's been 20 years, right? It feels like it was yesterday that she was still around, you know, making jokes and just everybody happy and, representing her fellow brothers and sisters from her country.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Umama, I must just start by saying that she is greatly missed, and not only by me, also by the other family members that are actually still alive. I have Uputemba, which is Brenda Fassie, and Vuiswa, Umakazwam Fassie. Those are the only two members that are actually left. There were 12 siblings in the family. And only two are left right now. My uncle just actually was recently in a fire broke out in his home. And, when that happened, that just kind of like, sounded off the alarm bells, just reminded me that, I have to actually get closer to them. And by doing so, we have so much that that has been planned when it comes to celebrating not only Brenda, Nogzola, Mama, as Umapr.
Yes.
Yes, Mama. Yeah, it's just, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
And say, time on this earth could be short, it could be long, and it doesn't matter whether it's short or long, you just have to make the best out of it. So me, being left with this legacy that she left for me and that I share with you and fellow South Africans out there, I must say that there's been so much pressure, immense pressure, because as we all know, my mother worked with so many people in the industry, worked with a lot of majors out there. And with her catalog now being with, other powerhouses, one would have expected that, they would honor her, because this is a year full of monumental, it's just a time where a lot is happening. And, they say that don't expect a lot in life, but I really would have loved and to see, music companies, support her, and the...
and really behind her brand after all these years. And the
comrades and the, and the, people in president, in the houses, it would have been a beautiful thing. But, at the end of the day, I am the son, I am the heir of the Fassie estate. I am her first and last born, so yes, the pressure has been a lot, but Lindot.
And you must stand up for her and for that legacy. And I can imagine how difficult the last 20 years must have been for you in terms of the expectations. Your mother was a big force, not just in her music, but also just in the personality that she was. What are your fondest memories of her? I mean, we've seen so many videos of how she loved and adored you as a child and just saw you grow into this young man. What is it in terms of principles that you would take from her in the life that you live today?
Well, okay, so itijan, hlonipha abantu, respect, and honor those who love you to your fullest and to the most best of your ability, and humble yourself at all times, because God is always watching. Don't abuse others who are less fortunate. Uplift those who need, you know, a foundation to build whatever it is that they are trying to build. Those are the values that my mom left in me, and I try implement these things, these traits that I'm trying to explain. You know, I try to show my children, live by them, but through my children, which is Bongani and Brenda, Junior. And yeah, I just want them to also, you know, at some point I'm going to pass on this baton, and then they're going to have to carry on. So.
You're a musician yourself, but I'm sure you've watched and seen how other musicians have taken on your mother's persona, her activism, and just some of the lessons that she's given you and other musicians. What do you see in terms of young artists today that you can say, that's Brenda Fassie?
Yo, okay, well, you know, any artist who's just unpredictable in terms of the way that they carry themselves, I would, you know, identify within them a little bit of Brenda, of Mama. I must just say that, you know, we all come from different walks of life. I'm not going to dictate to anybody how they should live their life or not, but when I see artists actually extending their hand and doing the work, putting the work, giving back, you know, that makes me happy. I mean, because I know my mother is smiling down on them, and I also smile back at them. And anybody right now who's actually, you know, in the forefront, you know, out there, you know, I commend them for their kindness, and I'll commend an artist based on their kindness and how they move. Because, you know, we all go through a rough patch in life, and, you know, I believe that your troubled days shouldn't define who you are. You know, they should actually build you and mold you to be a better person, and yeah, so on and so on.
Speaking of those troubled days, you've had a few of those.
Oh,
and
yes.
You've lived them in front of our eyes.
I'm still here.
And you're still here. Talk to us about those lessons and what you've taken out of it, and how Mama was there in spirit in guiding you through those tough days.
Okay, so how she was there in spirit, she was definitely saying, no, 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 no. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as an individual, I couldn't get over the fact that I lost my mother. Besides her being Brenda Fassie to the world, I lost a mother. So yes, my troubled times were based on me not accepting the fact that I didn't understand how I could have lost my mom. She went into cardiac arrest. She was admitted at Sunning Hill Hospital. She was on respirators. And then on Mother's Day, I got a call from the doctors telling me that she's no longer with us. But when I actually looked back into what prescribed in the hospital, I found out that the respirators were switched off. My mother wasn't given a fair chance to come out of the coma.
And whose decision was that to switch them off?
Good question.
But how did you, so you arrived and they were off. Did a doctor give you any explanation?
So at the time, I don't want to mention any names because I just think it's still under investigation.
Okay.
As mentioned on the post, on the death certificate, that the real cause of death for Brenda Fassie is still under investigation. 20 years on. 20 years on, Mama. And what everybody has read, that she died, she passed away, she passed on from substance abuse. It's not true. So now let's go back to the first question before that, before this one. How did it affect me? I started abusing because I couldn't take it. Until along came a man called Vusi Menzi, who is responsible for the show called Finding Bongani Fassie, who actually gave me a second chance in life. Through that show, in that show of my reality TV show, I got a chance to actually show the world what happens behind back doors, in my life. And one of the things that I opted in doing is actually checking myself into rehab. So, a couple of years later, here I am. I'm happy to have reconnected with my Maker, Lord Jesus Christ. And yeah, I'm still standing. So my advice to anybody out there who's going through some very, very difficult times, trying times, is that never forget, always stay prayed up. Never forget that you didn't make it into this world by chance. Because we all know what happens when two individuals are making a somebody or a family. We have to fight, you understand? And then when you get conceived and when you are born into this world, that means you were the lucky one. You were the one who was chosen. So me being the chosen one amongst many chosen people out there, I'm going to say to you, always stay prayed up, because that is what got me out of the muck and all the, the bad times.
And resilience is certainly one characteristic that could describe your mother. And certainly you sit here and showing a lot of resilience throughout the trials and tribulations that you faced over the 20 years. But 20 years on now, Mom would have turned 60 this year. 60 this year. It would have been the 41st celebration of Weekend Special. So how are you planning on celebrating her life? So
there is a huge celebration that I'm going to be, that we're actually putting together right now.
Okay.
With management right now. I have a new management team. Okay, Nokolo. I'm not going to say her surname. She's my bestie, my manager.
Okay.
And her sister, who's my publicist, Mbali. We are now busy. We're in advanced discussions right now with a gentleman called Shandu. And we plan on giving the world and also our fellow brothers and sisters here in Mzansi a tribute concert that will bring everybody in and just unify everybody in commemoration of Mama. Now, just a couple of weeks ago, Mom Yvonne Chaka Chaka, we were celebrating her. And I believe we need to celebrate people when they're also still alive.
Of course.
Yes, she actually she had as a token of appreciation, she gave me a picture of Mama.
Oh.
But it was drawn. It was drawn with pen, but it just looks real.
Yeah.
So I also look at doing the same thing, showing my mother how much I love her. I'm sure you probably asking yourself, Bongs, so what's happening with your music? And look, I've never stopped making music. And I just took time out because I wanted to actually dedicate, let me just put it properly. I wanted to give my children what my mother never gave me. And I don't blame the world, but Mama Bay had to go and do what she needed to do.
Of course.
In order for me to be, sustainable. And that's where I am in life right now. I owe a lot to my mother. And now I'm living my life. But I'm going to dedicate my whole life in making sure that Brenda is never forgotten and respected how she should be.
Speaking of what you need to give to your children, and earlier on you mentioned that your mom's catalog sits with various music labels. What lessons have you learned there now as a musician in terms of ensuring that your children will be able to live off that music for many years to come, some of the mistakes, or even what Mom did not know that you now know better? What are you doing differently with regards to the business of music in that sense?
I'm paying more attention to detail. Everything is in the fine print, not in the bold italics that's written advance 5 million, 10 million. No. Understanding the jargon of what I need to and understanding the jargon in the contracts and in the agreements that get passed back and forth is where I am right now. I have an incredible team. I have a legal representative of mine, Mr. David, I won't say his surname. And I have a very, 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 very special woman in my life, Umama Wam. In fact, her name is Nontando. Those are the people that I'm actually, you know, working with, alongside with management. We're scrutinizing everything, and we're not going forward without going back. Yes.
Lastly, how would you want your mom to be remembered 20 years from now and beyond?
I would love for my mom to be remembered as an activist, somebody who wanted to give to the world wholeheartedly. I would love my mom to be remembered as Umama of South Africa. I'd love my mom to be remembered as the woman who stood up for women's rights, who stood up for what is right, and who stood up for what we call family, because I believe, and I strongly believe, that we are nothing without family. Thank you for giving me that opportunity to say that.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing what you've gone through, for sharing Mom with us for all these years, and of course, for sharing her memory with us for these 20 years.
Ngempela.
Bongani Fassie, thank you so much for your time.